Hello and welcome to episode 3 of A Cat and Her Yarn Respun. I am Kiara Panther on Ravelry and Instagram and other social media. This is a podcast about spinning yarn, knitting, crochet, and other fiber arts. Today we're going to talk about unplying. It is day 3 of the Tour de Fleece, and for day 2 I started the process of unplying a 2-ply yarn that I had made previously. This is a orange BFL blend. It's got oranges, peaches, a little bit of blacks, and I bought it several years ago to for part of a spin along. And after I started making the process, the yarn, I realized I wasn't going to have enough. And in episode 1 I showed you the other fiber batlings that I had made up to compensate for that. And this is what the other colorway that I bought so that I would have more yardage looks like in comparison. And originally this was going to be a 4-ply cabled yarn. And for those who don't know, a cabled yarn is one where, for example, you would make a 2-ply yarn and then you would ply those two 2-ply yarns together to make a 4-ply cabled yarn. So in order to mix up the colors a little bit more, I am unplying this down to its singles, and then I will ply one single of this with one single of this, the other single of this to the other single of this that I have, and then I will ply them together to make a 4-ply cabled yarn. And since for the Tour de Fleece we post daily pictures on the different wildcard team threads, I've had several people ask me how I unply, or at least express curiosity as to how I unply without creating a giant mess. So I figured, well, since I'm at that point in the process, I might as well get it on video. So first off, I like to use toilet paper rolls on my ball winder. I sometimes cut them down. If you find one that doesn't quite fit where there's a little bit of slip like this one does, you can take a little bit of napkin or other fluff and just stick it down in there to hold it tight against the ball winder and hold it in place. That way you can get these center pull balls that you can pull out and exchange for different things, and I find it a lot neater and a lot easier to deal with, especially if I want to weigh things as I'm going. You know, I have it on the ball winder, I'll take it off the ball winder, put it on the scale, and then I can easily put it back on the ball winder and continue from where I left off. So I love using toilet paper rolls as the center for my center pull balls. Well, in this case they don't end up becoming center pull balls unless I pull the toilet paper roll out, but you get what I'm saying, I think. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish unplying this skein. Now, yesterday what I did is I ran it back through the wheel in the opposite direction I plied it, so that it would take out a lot of the twist. When I look at it closely now, I can see that it still has some twist in it. It's kind of hard to eyeball it. You just got to do the best you can. What is going to happen is I'm going to put this in my yarn bowl. And I love this yarn bowl. This was a mistake, kind of. This was an unintentional color glaze. I guess the colors broke in the heating and produced these colors. So it's one of kind. You're probably really hard to replicate, so of course I had to have it. And I got it at one of the Oregon Fiber Festivals that happened last year. And so it's one of the yarn bowls that has this like J-hook type thing in it, and I find this really helpful to have something like that for doing this. So I set the yarn bowl down so that the orifice of the yarn bowl where the little J-hook is somewhere on either side of 45 degrees from my wheel, a little bit ahead of me so that I can get it. And then I place my ball in that, thread it through the orifice hook, and then I've got this part here. So one of the problems with any kind of unplying is you're going to get some tangles no matter how much twist you try and take out ahead of time. So one of the other things I really like is to get the long kind of chip clips. This is really long. This one has a magnet on it so you can put it on your refrigerator so you don't lose them. But I get these, and then this is another reason why I like having the toilet paper rolls in the center of this, is that when it gets to a certain point where it just seems to be tangling because there's still too much twist, is I'll go ahead and I will clip the inside of the chip clip to the inside of this, make sure that I've got the live part of the yarn here. You can see that. I've got the chip clip over that line there. And then I will just distend what's left of the ball and let it untwist itself further. Now I'm not going to do that right now, I'm just showing you how I go about this. This is probably going to take a while to get through this whole ball, so I may or may not get a chance to show you how I do that, so I just wanted to explain it at the beginning. This is one of the major things you have to be able to do to not create a big tangled mess when you are turning a 2-ply yarn into its separate singles. So having these long kind of chip clips is really helpful for that. Anything that has enough area here that you can really get a good grip on all the yarn plus the end of the yarn. So again, I'm going to put this in my yarn bowl, and then I'm going to take one of the singles. I'm going to gently separate these out, give myself a little bit of starting point here. I did this with the other skein. I've gotten further along, and there's going to be some parts where the wool's kind of, I don't know if I quite felted, but you get those little stray bits, and when you ply them they kind of wrap around the other yarn and then back on themselves. And of course right here at the beginning, this is the problem I'm having. There we go. So just kind of get that separated. So this one likes to stick to itself more than when I unplied the other skein, but if you're careful and slow, hopefully we won't have a problem. So I take one single, and I put it in the leader for my spinning wheel, and I get it in there. And you just want enough tension on your spinning wheel to pull it on there. And then I take the other one, and one of the reasons why I like cutting the toilet paper holders down is that way what I can do is after I've looped it through my ball winder and put it across this little indentation they've got, I then put that down and it locks the yarn in place. And then I have more of a lead for if I feel like doing a center pull ball, which is possible even with the toilet paper holders in there, but I have more of a lead to grab onto whatever it is I decide to do. Just want to add that what I have my ball winder attached to right now is an old gardening bench. It's got handles on both sides, and then it's got two shelves here. It was originally used for an indoor succulent garden, and so it was kind of moved around the dining room it lived in to get the best sun, depending on the time of year and things like that, or taken outside and moved back in. And it got upgraded, so it was put out on the side of the road to be picked up by the trash collector, and I was like, this would be a perfect spinning bench. I've got my umbrella swift on one end, and I attach my ball yarn on the other, and then I have this little portable bench that I can skein my yarn up from. I've got this turned around right now, so because it was in the way when I had it the way I normally do it, so you couldn't really see what I was doing on the camera. But that's easy. It twists and untwists really handy. So it's just on this little, on the edge of that. See, I've got it just on the edge of this, holding on like that. So I found this really useful. So to continue with the unplying. Now, as you can sort of see here, I've got this little like 45-degree angle yarn thing going on. I hope you can see that from here. I've got a little screen, so I'm not sure how well that's showing up. So what I want to do with my hand on the ball winder, I want to, did you see that? Did that come through? I want to treadle a little bit, and now the yarn, little triangle here, got pulled over to this side. And so now I want to do a little bit of ball winder, pull my hand back to give it some space. And you kind of want to go really slow with this because you want to get the tension right and get it so that it pulls the yarn onto the bobbin of the spinning wheel, while at the same time you're pulling the yarn onto the yarn ball winder. Like I said, this one's sticky, so it's not going to go as smooth, so you have to go slow. So this is probably why I'm not going to show this entire skein on this video, because I don't think you want to spend however many hours it might take me to do this. Sometimes it goes a lot smoother than this because the wool doesn't stick to itself, but if it does, you just have to baby it. And hopefully you can see this triangle well from what I'm doing. I've got it this end coming from the yarn bowl, and then one of the singles is going to the ball winder, and the other single here is going on my wheel. And I describe it kind of like learning to pat your head and rub your belly at the same time. So it takes a little bit of coordination. That's why you definitely want to go slow at first. And you want to try and keep this little yarn triangle here halfway between basically your chest, which is where I'm holding my hand for that comes from the yarn bowl, and the bobbin on my spinning wheel and my yarn winder. So you want to kind of keep an even tension, keep that little section roughly in the middle. Kind of picture a little circle here. I wish I had a second camera so I could show you that angle, but I picture a little circle here, and I try and keep this three-way intersection within that circle. It's maybe about the size of my hand. So if I place my hand over this perfect area, I don't want it to go any further than roughly a finger's length from that perfect median, because it is going to get pulled one way or the other as you're pulling on the, winding the yarn winder and spinning on the wheel, treadling on the wheel. Now this, as far as I have been able to do, only works really well on a double treadle wheel. If you're really good at with the single treadle, you might be able to do it, but because you have to go so slow, I find the double treadle easier. And I'm actually going to get to demonstrate a little bit more of the chip clip thing, since this still has way too much twist in it. It's, especially when something's similar colored, it's kind of hard to tell. So I've got that like that, and then I just let it down, which you can't see now because it's below the area. And I just help it along. Gotta go slow, especially considering how thin this single is. You see now it's on camera. You see how it's twisting on itself. The chip clip is keeping the live yarn in place so that it's not just coming off the ball. And the ball is acting kind of like the whirl of a drop spindle, and it's just untwisting itself. Like I said, this is a slow process. It might take me a couple hours to go through. I think this is 89 yards, thereabouts. No, it's closer to 200 because I combined the two skeins into one. But just keep going. And then once I've got some more of the twist taken out, I put it back in the yarn bowl, make sure it goes through that J orifice that a lot of yarn bowls have. And then I try and keep this under tension while I get that little triangle, a little three-way section back the area I like to have it at. Even with the unplying, it's still kind of finicky. This is just a lot stickier yarn. So it's going to be slow, but in the end you will have your 2 singles back, and you can then reply them with other yarns or whatever it is you'd planned on doing with it. Fortunately, I think this is going to break. I made it really, really thin at this point, it looks like. This is some yarn that I spun back when I was first starting to really take spinning seriously. I had been spinning for a few years on and off with a old Ashford traditional that was given to me, and it had some issues and I didn't know what I was doing, so I got frustrated, and then I discovered the Tour de Fleece and was bound and determined I was going to learn to spin. And doing, spinning 15 minutes every day during that first Tour de Fleece back in 2007, it was actually the second Tour de Fleece, but it was the first one for me. I got better at stuff, but this is something I spun that November, I think, so November of 2007. And I tried to keep up the spinning for 15 minutes every day, but I haven't quite. I'd go in spurts, and then I found these spin-alongs to try and keep me going. So I only spun 2 ounces of this 4-ounce braid for that spin-along, and then it, try and get this going. And then I realized I wasn't going to have enough yardage. So now I just kind of put it away for a decade. And now I'm trying to get back to it and realizing that, one, because my spinning has improved, I would rather ply it, each single, with the singles I just spun. I spun these right before the Tour de Fleece started, so a couple weeks ago at most, last week. No, I went camping, so about 2 weeks ago I spun these. I'm also getting back into spinning after having not spun for a year. So I'm still not as consistent as I would like, but I am happy enough with it. I have a little spinning control card, which is the one thing that didn't make it out here. Oh well. So, and that's helped me a lot with my productivity and my just my skill level. So I think you get the idea of what I'm doing. I don't think you really want to keep watching me fiddle with this. So, but this is basically what it goes. When I was unspinning the other skein, because I spun this, I applied it as a 2-ply first with intending to apply it to this when I realized that the color variation and my skill level of the thick and thin variation was going to be a little too different. So I'm going to try and hide that by applying one colored single to the other color single. So I had to unply this that I had plied, and that went a lot smoother because it hadn't plied as long, and it's not, this is some generic wool, I don't know what it is, and this is BFL, and the BFL is a little stickier, I've noticed, to itself, especially considering how long it's been plied and sticking in a plastic bag in my storage as I've moved back and forth cross country a couple of times. So, I seem to have figured out the 10-minute problem because my camera says I'm at 19 minutes now. So I wasn't crazy. It will do 33-minute sets. Basically, I just there was a reset all option at the bottom of the camera setting, so I did it. And I'm back up to a longer than 10-minute video here. So that's good. I'm still struggling with finding a video editor I'm happy with. I've gone through over a dozen now. The ones that are on the phone have the functions I want, but trying to make my finger manipulate those little buttons on the touch screen is little too fiddly. But finding a PC editor that works for me and does what I want, that doesn't cost 60 bucks without me knowing whether it has the features I want, is proving a little more difficult. So I've got a couple more options, but they require a bit more tutorials to look through first. They're not just plug and play like the other ones I've looked at so far. So that's what I'm going to hopefully edit this video on and see what happens. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep unplying this. And hopefully episode 2 is still uploading to YouTube. I've been struggling with that for 2 days, which is why I didn't record yesterday. So hopefully that'll go up sometime tonight, and I can get this one up hopefully early tomorrow, and then record again tomorrow. I don't have any specific plans, so hopefully I will have time to record every day during the Tour de Fleece, like my original plan. If not, probably every other day. We'll see how things go. So I hope you guys are having a fun Fiber Day, and if you're participating in the Tour de Fleece, I hope to see your pictures on the various wild card team threads. And don't forget to post in the official Tour de Fleece on Ravelry day specific thread. So I hope everybody has a nice day. Bye.